Today, we're on a different phase of this. I don't want to call it a struggle, but maybe I would say a liberation for our dear country, Cameroon. And so I want us to really start by reflecting on where we are, how far we've come, and the significance of the Zoom we have today, because this Zoom is going to need our total presence so that we will know what to do. And it really doesn't matter where you are in the world. We all really can impacting what is going on right now. So again, I just want to welcome everyone from around the world as you're watching this. I just want to start by emphasizing our mission here at Project C. We started off by wanting to support the journalists and then supporting the population on their awareness, on their rights, and why it was important that they show up for an election. And we did this by inviting all the candidates that were running, interviewed them, and then obviously I would say, and I think we all will agree, that we had a very successful campaign or a very successful election. Except for that, the power has not been given to the right person. Our new leader is President-elect Issa Shiroma. And so that has changed a lot of things, which Ari is going to talk about. But what I do want us to be mindful of is we in Project C are here to support One Cameroon, where people were able to build our country, and we're able to develop and have the right leaders for the people, by the people. And so, in a nutshell, and so that is not happening right now. And a lot of things have changed. But and Ari is going to talk about that. But before he goes on to speak about that, what I want to ask everyone is the question that I think we all have been hearing. If you're not, I know I definitely have. And I've had to really push myself to sit up more and ask, what is this time asking of us? So the first thing I would say is, we are, as a people in Cameroon, we are facing a different level. I think the times are calling us to rise up differently as a people in a mature way in politics, and how to own and take our own power. And so I just want to start by making it clear that nobody, we really have to understand this, nobody is going to save us. There's no colonial master in any form that is siding with us and wants us this beautiful life that we want so much that they're going to come fight for us. It's not happening. We are going to be our own angels. Cameroonians all over will have to save us. And so my appeal before we start, an emphasis is we really need to pay attention and say, how do we rise up in this time? Okay. So when we listen to what Ari has to say, the issue definitely is not entertainment. I believe that we're in the stomach of the beast right now. And we're going to choose, we could just tear it up, or we can suffocate in it and die. It's our choice. It's nobody's choice but ours. And I'm thinking that we have reason and we have matured as a people, because we have been at this try so many times. I don't know about you, but I think you agree with me. This is the time. Let's note, we have never come this far. We have never come this far as one voice, as a people, in our collaboration and our awareness. So it's easy to be discouraged sometimes where we are, and it's hard to just think of how far we've come. So I want us to think about how far we've come, the conversations we've been having, the kind of conversations that we've been having, not one of separation, but a oneness. Wherever we are in the world, we're speaking the same. Majority of the people, we need to harness that. And then I want to say that we are what this war that we're in, because if we have not noticed, we're in a war right now. It has been declared on us, and we must rise up to defend ourselves. And so where we are now, the winning of the war starts by the vision. It doesn't start by the weapons, what we have, who is going to save us, who is the savior. No, I happen to be a voice for many because we all can speak at the same time. I'm very aware of that. So I am not here because I'm doing anything so extraordinary. It's just because somebody has to say something, so I am speaking. So we are all doing something. So this time we have to rise. And I have to say, because Ari is going to explain it all, Isa Shiroma is the energy that we all have created through the cries of our ancestors, through the cries of people who have died over the years, through the cries of the people who have been suffering. That cry has culminated and that energy has gone forth and is birthed in Isa Shiroma. But let me just say that if he's not here, my question to all of us is it over? That's what we need to consider. Is it over? What are we going to do as a people? That's one. Number two, I also want to remind us that our energy and the vision that we have is collective. That energy calls for everyone in anything that we're doing, whether it's putting money in, which is really important in any action, but the real action first is our vision. I want to challenge everyone. I want to challenge you in your conversations. I'm challenging myself. This is a time that we cannot wander in conversation. We cannot wander in our visions and say, oh, is it going to happen? We're cynical. And I just have to say, please excuse me, because I live in the diaspora. I just have to say that it's easy, maybe some of us have already, bought the plot where we're going to be buried. These things do happen. And we're not going to do anything with Cameroon. But I want to appeal to every single one of us. It's not about whether you're ever going to go there or not, because I've heard this conversation. The real deal is, were you born there? Were your parents born there? What does it mean that we're in another country that fought for itself? Nobody fought for them. They fought their fight. And because of that fight, we have a place of escape, because I think I am a volunteered refugee. If I had it my way, as it is for many of us, I would not be here. Absolutely not. So we have volunteered to be here because of that. And that is the fight that they did. Now the time has come. How do we sit here, whether you plan to go back or not? Are we going to sit here and say, oh, what happens to the people there who can't come here? We cannot live with ourselves. So what I'm appealing to is that we are all involved. And so we have to have the vision of the finish line and walk it back. I want us to know that we are seeing the end of this regime. The bandits, as we know, they're straight up bandits, they're thieves. It's like Sicilian mafias who have taken over the government. We don't have one. We have to understand that. We're seeing the end of it. And it's really at that end that we can give up, because we people, it's our time to rise up in our beliefs, in our conversation, the vision, the power, the energy we're putting forth for the people who are on the front line in whatever capacity around the world to be able to finish this job. That's where we are today. And that's where we are going to start today, is understanding that every single one of us has a responsibility at this time in any way, shape, or form to act. And your action might just start in your thinking and your conversation. We are at the end, we're praying blessings, we're imbuing with our energy and conversation and the vision that end. That is something real and powerful. So that's where I want us to start. And I will go ahead and pass it on to Ari. Ari, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ellie. I'm not sure how I'm going to follow this up, but let's rise up. Let me just start with sharing a short video here, which may encapsulate the moment, and we'll talk shortly thereafter. I hope this works. No, not that.
Trump can decide, yes, I accept this offer, or no, I don't. Senator Jonathan has to in the end control all this.
A minute there, folks.
Saying, yes, I accept that offer. He's got to find something where he can actually get them in his caucus. And if he chooses something where it's, all the Democrats and one or two Republicans, that is a potential problem for his leadership.
Comes a moment in the story of every nation when the truth cannot remain silent. A moment when the dreams of millions rise like the morning sun, demanding to be seen. But what happens when the will of the people is stolen in broad daylight? When those entrusted to serve become the architects of deception. A country built on lies is nothing but a house of cards waiting to fall. A government that subverts the will of its people does more than claim a victory that isn't theirs. It steals those dreams. It shatters hope. It breaks faith in the idea that tomorrow can be better than today. But hope is not so easily destroyed. Nothing, no army, no dictator is stronger than the unity of a people fighting for what's right. No chains can hold back a nation that has found its voice. No power can silence a truth spoken in unison. Cameroon has always belonged to her people, not to those who rule by fear, but to the millions who rise every morning and dream of something greater. So rise up in the savannas of the north, rise up in the rainforest of the east, rise up in the heartland of the south, rise up on the slopes of Mount Cameroon and the grasslands of the west. Rise up together as one people, one Cameroon. Defend your vote, protect your future. The time has come for Cameroon to be truly free, free from the shackles of bondage imposed by the few on the many. This Cameroon we love, its natural resources, its rivers, its mountains, its beautiful people, its children, needs you. Speak the truth, stand shoulder to shoulder, rise not with anger, but with unbreakable hope. Rise up for justice, rise up for freedom, rise up for Cameroon. The people united can never be defeated. The world is watching. Cameroon, rise up.
I wanted to start with that video which we put together, which really encapsulates what this moment is for us. It's a moment that we have to, that is going to be defining in our history. I want to start back with the fact that we just went through an electoral process that many of us going into this process knew what opponents we had ahead of us. We knew that there was a government that was going to steal the elections, but somewhere at the back of our minds, we thought if we made a good case and we had a massive turnout, that there would be an iota of shame in the government that would lead them to relinquish power, but they didn't. But the blow on this fight had already been administered, because across the country and across the world, there is no doubt Mr. Biya was beaten badly, and he has the bruises to prove it. So armed with that, armed with the truth, because this is what it means, armed with the truth, we march on to what is the next phase in what will only end with the peaceful transfer of power from this regime that is going to collapse to a people who are yearning for a better future, full of hope. And yes, I know that there could be moments of doubt, and I think we have gone through a moment of doubt this week, to be honest with you all. But today we want to rekindle. We hope that at the end of this day, we rekindle hope, we reignite the fight in each one of us, and we keep marching on. Last week, we shared with you our post-electoral strategy, a strategy that we didn't have at the beginning of this campaign, but a strategy that we really took some time to work on and brought a lot of heads together to develop and implement. This week, we're going to begin the active implementation of the strategy, and we're going to talk about this in this session today, which will essentially have three clear parts, and they're questions that we know that you all have been asking, right? We know we went through an elections. There was a president-elect, and in the last week, we've not heard much about him. And so this session will have three parts. The first one is going to answer these three questions. Where is ITB? Where is Isa Chiroma Bakari? Which I know everybody has those questions in their minds. I've gotten a lot of WhatsApp messages with reference to that. So if you know somebody who has that question, this is the time for them to get on the Zoom, right? Or on any of the platforms that we have this running. Two, what happens now? What is the next step after we've answered that first question? And three, how can each one of us, each one of you, stay engaged? The way we're going to run this session is I'm going to turn this over to Eric Chinje at some point. We'll take one of those questions, we'll answer it, we'll open for questions or comments, then we'll go on to the next one and the third one. So that feel free, we would only allow those who have raised their hand to speak, right? It's incredibly important that we're organized in this. So, and if you also have, if you have valuable information that is needed at this time, we may be calling on some people that we know that we've had conversations with. I also want to reassure everybody in the audience that yes, this is a Project C Zoom, but this is not a Project C plan on our own. We are extensively working with groups, collaborations behind the scenes. We've spent hours and hours having conversations with other groups so that we can federate our energies, our resources, our talents, and have a common strategy. I also want to say that yes, we had a president-elect, and we want to have our president-elect free and able to participate and do the things that the president-elect should do. But let me also highlight the point that I want to highlight the point that this is more than just Isa Chiroma Bakari. This is about us. This is about our country. And many of us are sitting in the diaspora, and I know that this conversation keeps coming up. I always say that you could change the nationality, you could change your location, you could even change your name, you could change the color of your skin, you could change your accent. There's one thing that you cannot change. You can't change where you were born, no matter what. You can't change your ancestral lineage, no matter what you do. And this is what ties us to this fight, that yes, we may not be exposed to the risk that our brothers and sisters who are in Cameroon may have to face on a daily basis. But it doesn't mean that we too are not making enormous sacrifices to ensure that you are safe and that we are safe and everybody is safe. And as I talk about this, I think it's incredibly important for us to just pause for a moment here and just reflect on the nearly 48 people who have lost their lives in this struggle. But for them, we honor their souls, and for them, we must continue this fight. Many of them, I don't know them, I don't know their families, I don't know where they came from, but what united us is this resistance for the truth, for freedom, for justice.
Side of the border in Pakistan, of course, will be responsible on the Pakistani side of the border. But unfortunately,
May their souls rest in peace. We cannot also forget the nearly 1,000 people that are in detention across the country. Only 3 weeks ago, they were ordinary good citizens going about their business, their bensikeen, and doing the things that they could to put food on the table. Even though deep down them, they too were bitter and frustrated, they went about their business as law-abiding citizens and did everything that they could to just earn a living. They registered for the elections. They followed the letter of the law. They did everything that needed to be done. And they won the elections. And their victory was stolen. And so they unleashed their anger and went out down on the streets. I in no way say this to condone any destruction, because we have always emphasized a peaceful campaign. But when people embark on what is their universal right to manifest and demonstrate, and they're met with resistance from a government that doesn't understand this as a basic right, then it leads to the kind of outcomes that we've seen. Yeah. And so for those people, those 1,000, nearly 1,000 that sit in jails, we have not forgotten you, and we will continue to stand with you, working with groups that are on the ground, the Collectif des Avocats, that are working to defend their rights. I also must not end without expressing our regrets to everyone whose property has been damaged, to everyone who has lost a house, or whose business has been affected by this whole campaign. Again, this 3 weeks ago, people went by those buildings, went by those stores. We were not attacking each other. We were living as good neighbors. We are, unfortunately, the only intervening event that led to your good neighbors being able to attack your stores is just the fact that these elections were stolen. So the person who bears responsibility for this is the Biya regime and his agents. Because without that intervening event, we will not see this from law-abiding good neighbors that we all must be. So as we embark on this second phase, we ask for everybody to be peaceful. Not the one enemy that we all have is a regime that is failing and hanging on to power only by the use of weapons. So let us direct all our energies on that regime, and let us protect our neighbors, protect our friends, protect their property. Let's not take anything out on them. really incredibly important that if we have to win this fight, it must be one that is peaceful. We must bring everybody along with us, no matter where they are, no matter, even when they don't disagree with, even when they don't agree with us, even when they're part of the CPDM, they too need to be part of this campaign. So let's approach them, let's help them see the light, and let's help them be part of what we want to accomplish together. So I really thought that we should start. I just said this was incredibly important that we share this with you, because this is the feeling that we have. If we can stay united, it's never been a time when we've seen this unity. We must continue to stay united. We have different backgrounds, different experiences, but our destiny is common, and the goals that we have for this campaign is the same. So unity cannot and should not be compromised. I would just want to check now to make sure that we have Eric.
Yes, he is.
And sometimes I have to put the responsibility on Eric, because I too was going about my life peacefully until Eric and Elizabeth called.
Oh.
And here we are. And here we are. So if somebody can spotlight Eric, so I can turn this over to Eric.
Eric,
And
if you be on camera, I'm asking you to unmute.
He is on camera now.
Yes.
And unmuted though.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Well, Eric, good to see you again. I know last week we were having challenges with the video. Thank you for being here. It's been an incredibly long week for you. I laid out the three parts of the agenda which we're going to talk about. And I also noticed that I'll keep track of some of the observations in the comments. Nothing that we're going to say here or do is intended to compromise the security of anyone. We're going to be conscious about that. We'll be careful about the things that we say. But what we are going to share is what is common knowledge, is available for public consumption. So please, we may not state locations and all of that. We are not going to do that, but we will give you a sense of what is needed. So, Eric, I want to turn this over to you. The 100 million CFA question that people have, that would is, where is ITB, and why has he been silent? And we want to be upfront with the audience. We want to talk to the Cameroonian people. We're all in this together, so I'll turn this over to you for that task.
Thanks a lot, Ari. Thanks for holding fort and inspire. I know you're traveling too, so it's not been easy for you. And thanks to everybody who's with us today. And we've got to, the only way we're going to win this thing is by actually staying together, holding on to each other's hands and making sure that we move forward together. Let me first of all respond to the concern, which is, I'm really happy about, the concern, the fact that people are concerned about ITB's safety, which seems to, which is a conclusion that we all who met with him, and I was with him a couple of days ago, we all came to that same conclusion, that paramount, his safety is paramount, and the protection he's getting is based on, right now, the silence he maintains until things are worked out. And I can guarantee you a lot is being worked out to get him to a situation where he no longer needs to be concerned about his safety. I don't know if you've said this already, but I can tell everyone this government has gone to great lengths to locate him and to take him out. Taking him out for them meant bringing him to Cameroon, where they'll know what to do easily, or taking him out so that he's no longer, life is no longer, it's no, it no longer exists. So the choice we've had to make, he has had to make, is, do I want to be a martyr, or do I want to be the leader of a movement? And the two don't go together. He's going to be a martyr, then he can offer himself, and he loses protection. He speaks, he loses the protection, no longer knows what's going to happen to him, and that's exactly, I think, what the regime in Yaoundé wants. So, should he be a martyr, or he should continue to survive and communicate as best he can through proxies, through subordinates? And he made that choice. He made that choice that he will, at least for now and for the next 2 days, maybe, I really don't know. The next few days, they may find the right place from where he can speak to the nation and to all of us. It could happen, because I know there are lots of people involved right now in identifying that place, and at the highest levels in many of the countries involved. So if that happens, we could hear from him as early as tomorrow, if it happened tonight, if he moved, and he's ready to move instantly. So we could hear from him earlier than we think, but at the same time, we may not hear from him for another day or 2 or 3, I don't know. So it's good that we're concerned. That's why I'm happy that we're concerned. All of us are concerned for his safety, and are willing to keep believing and keep the momentum on until he's able to speak to us. I think it's important to also understand that, yes, thanks, Micah. It's important to understand that we cannot, because we are afraid of losing momentum, then demand that he compromises the protection he has. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that we should do that. The demand in Cameroon is a demand for change. It's not a demand for a change of leaders. Not a demand for a new Biya or someone to replace him. I don't think that's what we're fighting for. So whether he comes or goes, that demand will still be there. And the only reason Chiroma is different from you and I is that he personifies that change. He didn't see himself as a leader of a movement for change. He saw himself as campaigning for the presidency of a country. And that has morphed into a movement for change. And he has to adapt to that. And time is an important factor, but time cannot be the only factor. So, he will come out. Once we have it in our minds that Chiroma is safe, Chiroma will speak to the nation as soon as he can, and he has a clear agenda, so we will understand why he's fighting for change. He will come out with a clear agenda, what he plans to do, how he intends to move the country forward, all the kinds of solutions that we've all been yearning for. Because the problem about the current system, believe me, if the current system was open to new ideas, if the BS system was open to change, open to debate, open to finding solutions to problems, if this system were, we'll probably be working with it, because we'll start engineering those changes. I mean, I'm talking about all of us. But the system is close to all of that. They're afraid of new ideas. They're afraid of people coming in with an approach that may change anything, that may threaten the status quo. And it's important we put it in our minds that if they succeed in bringing down that momentum, as the word everybody seems to be using, let's keep the momentum going. If Easter doesn't speak, it'll bring it down and that's the end of it. No, it's not. It will not be the end of it. The end of it is when people start feeling that, okay, we don't need change. What we would be doing in the interim is communicating and telling people, Not only that they need change, but why they need change. And why change can result in a better Cameroon, in an improvement of the quality of lives of every citizen. The only people, there's only a handful, we're not talking about 300 or 200 people. As a matter of fact, I think there are less than 100 who are getting the most out of this system in a country of 30 million people. You can't, and the only problem we have is that change is obvious. The need for change is obvious to maybe the 30 million of us. But the 30 million of us do not understand what they can do individually to bring about that difference. So the work we have is to raise the level of understanding of not only what change represents, but what it can result in. That's really where the work is. A leader, Chiroma, we're not looking for somebody to replace Biya and be the next Biya. No. He's only our leader because he's an embodiment of that change that we seek. So we'll continue to support him so that he can continue to lead the movement for change. That's it. That's it. Sorry, I have to. Yeah. So we will. As soon I just come back to this and I'll leave it. As soon as he's in a position to speak, which may be in a day, which may be in 2 days, which may be in a week. I don't think it's going to take that long because I can see how the pressure is building, not only on him, but also on the leaders who've decided to take up his cause, including heads of state. So as soon as, and they too are debating this from all sides, as soon as that is resolved and he moves, within a short time, he will speak. And he'll continue to, you see, say hi to everybody. Say hi to everybody. Yeah, hi. You see, that 1-year-old says hi to everybody. Yes. So we will keep everyone as informed as possible of what's going on. There's a real problem we have in the group. Yesterday, we had long meetings, spoke extensively, and within minutes, some of the information that was given was being exploited, not for good. And of course, it came back to all of us, to some of us, and it's disturbing because I've always felt, we should err on the side of truth, and not the reverse. But there's some people in the group determined that the way to fight change is to the way to stop our progress is by infiltrating this whole thing, taking whatever information they can and putting it out, giving it to the government so the government can adjust its strategies. So we go forward with the knowledge that some of them are amongst us, unfortunately, and we would be constrained sometimes in putting out all the information. But having said that, I think what's important is 2 things, maybe 3. One, knowing that the man we hope will continue to be to be a personification of change is alive and well and secure. That's one. So we don't need to come back on that. And I know a few people have been calling me and trying to pressure me on, say, oh, so where exactly? That's not necessary. The second thing is that we all, and it does not depend on any one of us. It does not depend on Ari or Elizabeth or anybody else. It depends on all of us working together to ensure that people understand that change is going to come. And time is only one factor of it. People, I don't think we should be discouraged because, it's not happening. Clear thought and on a strategy that makes sense. And we are part of that total, all of us, part of that total leadership team. We have to, we have to give ourselves the time and the conviction to pursue the course. If you asked me, I'll tell you that I believe that I do not see this regime surviving more than a couple of months. I don't see that happening. I'm amazed at how informed the world is about the decay in Cameroon. I thought nobody was paying attention. But every leader that was spoken to when I was present was so knowledgeable about the situation and so disgusted. I mean, talking about heads of states openly telling you how disgusted they are with the situation. So we've got a lot of support, but that cannot express itself the way we would want to. And by the way, as we keep saying, we've said it here in Project C to others who contacted us, this is a battle that we have to fight. It's not a battle that we will depend on others to fight for us. We will depend on others to support what we are doing, but they're not going to lose sleep over whether or not we win or not. So I can guarantee you that on the diplomatic front, things are being done, not to bring in warriors or mercenaries to support us, no. But a lot is being done to ensure that, for example, you can see the outcomes. I mean, Mr. Biya has not received, even when the Americans wrote, you can see through, if you understand diplomatic language, you'll realize that it was not even, it's not real support they're giving him. So there's a lot of work that's being done at the diplomatic level. I'll tell you a second thing that's being done, the military. Again, maybe I'm giving away too much information, but we need a military that doesn't go out with bullets, live bullets, to try to win an election. So the message, I hope, is slowly getting internalized by some within our military, and we need more of them. So if you have family members who are in the police, in the army, or in the gendarme, it's important that they get it. That this is not about any of us seeking something that should not be ours. This is about Cameroon, and they should not, even when given orders to go and shoot, go out with your guns, but go out with anything but live bullets that can take lives. We need to get that message across to the army. So when I mention the army, it is in that regard. When I mention the politicians, the diplomats, it's because of our diplomatic strategy. And the other, and then of course the people. We need to educate our people. We need to educate our people about the quality of change. If it's about changing one person from one to the other, no, that's easy. But that's not what we're fighting and dying for. The change we're fighting and dying for is a Cameroon that's more accepting of new ideas, more willing to engage with everybody, more open. More open to using the resources of the country to build it. Look at who owns and runs the wealth of the land today. Look at who does. Our entire oil economy is based on the whims and caprices of two women. If you don't know it, and I'm not going to go further than that, find out. The whims and the caprices of two not highly educated women. Again, education is not much of an issue here. But these two women literally run Cameroon's oil resources. If you want to look at another thing you may want to look at is the quality of contracts, the mining contracts that Cameroon has signed. Take a look at that. It makes it impossible for us to benefit from the natural wealth of the land that God gave us. So just revisiting those contracts and making sure that they serve Cameroon will bring about significant change. Look at this notion of appointments in Cameroon. The fact that, and there are lots of people who've demonstrated it to us. There's a guy who one day, who had always wanted to be recognized as within the academic community in Cameroon. He was the loudest voice against the system. And then the day he was appointed vice chancellor, deputy vice chancellor, the day he was appointed, he became the loudest voice in support of the system. That's the quality of people we have. So think about all of this and know where you stand on the spectrum of change. Are you at that extreme where change means, everything is destroyed? As I caught the last bit where Ari was talking about properties destroyed and so on. Are you at that extreme? Or are you And even if we were to drive them, on what roads would you drive your Lamborghini? On what roads? He says, no, I just love cars. So he has about 70, I'm told, in one property. And then God alone knows how many he has in other properties he owns. So there's something, and I'll stop at this. I just came out of a discussion before I came into this meeting where this person was talking to me about, he just came out of a discussion with with some religious person in Yagua or in up in the north. And this person he's an exorcist. And this person was telling him, until we get this country out of the satanic plague that has taken hold of its soul, we have to get Satan out of Cameroon. But how? It's a big question. And I was happy to hear that, because it began to explain to me why people do some of the things they do. Why does Ayolo buy 70 cars that cost each of them $200,000, $300,000, $400,000? That is hundreds of millions of francs. When that money could could help a young guy who's come out of university find a job, or even become an entrepreneur. So how do we fight Satanism? I don't know if Becky's with us. I just told her. I said, we fight it by dealing with the truth. The truth does not come in house. The truth is perfect. Truth is whole. And if you don't deal with truth, you'll always have a problem. So and again, as I say, I don't know if Becky's here. Becky was accusing me for being too loud. No, I speak by truth, and I always will, because I know I'm not speaking in half measures. And I want us to, if our truth is to improve on our country, is to change the future of Cameroon and Cameroonians, let's go for it. Because maybe that's how we overcome the evil spirit that has captured the soul of Cameroon. The Satanism that seems to have become our lot in that country. Maybe we will overcome it in truth. Sorry, Ari, I know I've taken too much time, but please hand it over. Ari? Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, Eric. I think that was pertinent. I don't know whether we have any follow-up questions, but I just want to clear the many questions that people have. I really want us to have a moment of communion here with the Cameroonian people. And I think the obvious follow-up question is that many people saw with great dejection the swearing in of a president who lost the elections, right? And somehow, whether rightfully or or by assumption, people had been expecting a swearing in ceremony for the rightfully elected president, and that didn't happen. And there's that element of frustration, dejection, demobilization, so to speak. And I think it may be helpful for you to just give a frame of mind of the president-elect in terms of the fight. Does he have the fight? Does he see this movement going on? And is he walking towards taking that oath of office? I think that's something, Eli, I'm sure this is a question that you must have been receiving as well. And I wanted to just, let's just clear that, reassure people, based on what knowledge you have or from your experience in your engagement with him, Eric.
Yeah. Thanks again, Eric. Yeah, my mic is unmuted. Yes. I spent 3 days with him, 3 days of intense work. 3 days of intense work. I'll describe what happened. In the first 2 days, which was on the 4th and the 5th, our intent was to have him sworn in on the 5th. So we're working towards that. And we worked diligently 2 days, preparing every detail of the swearing in. Everything from camera angles, how it will be filmed. Everything from having the imam and the pastor and the Bible and the Quran and the speech, what will be said, the swearing in, what were the words to be used, and all of that. It took us. There were 2 lawyers involved, and we did all of that work, totally confident that when we see him and he gets to work, everything will be done, edited, put out. So after 2 days of 0 sleep, we got to him and sat down. I'll tell you 2 things. As soon as I saw him, I wondered. We didn't think of a makeup artist. And I was thinking, oh my God, maybe we should bring in a makeup artist. This face is not the face for television. And certainly not the face of a president or somebody presidential. That's what I thought. As soon as I saw him, I didn't know what was waiting for us. Because as soon as I thought when we gave him the details of what we had been doing, it will bring light to that face. He didn't. But he listened carefully, finished, and then he said, there's no swearing in. I mean, I almost, I had to listen with my spiritual ears to understand where he was coming from. As soon as he said, I could tell. I mean, because even when we left there, I had to continue fighting to explain to the lawyers and the teams, what had actually happened. He said there was not going to be any swearing in. This is not about me, he said. So this was in the lead up to the 5th and the 6th. And of course, on the 6th, he was so dismissive of what had happened on the 6th with Mr. Biya being sworn in, so dismissive that, it actually brought joy to me to see how profoundly dismissive he was of it. And then it prepared us for the discussion we had on the 7th, or part of the 6th night, and on the 7th, about where this all should be going, and how it has to go. And by the time we're done having that discussion and leaving Chiroma, I had to leave to take my flight. The others had to leave and to take their flights. By the time we left, I have never seen him, and I've known him for a long time. Prior to joining the government, I've known him for close to 30 years now. I've never known him to look any happier. I saw a man who now had seen the light at the end of the tunnel. He looked relieved. I could hear the verve again back in his voice, and the determination to take this to the end. I can tell you, nothing in the world. They've tried to, use you. I mean, there's been a lot of pressure on him. Everything from, we'll offer you this, we'll offer you that, and so on. There's been all kinds of pressure. There's no more. I've never known anybody more prepared, more determined, and totally ready to hit that ground running when he can. So my answer to that question is 3 things. 1, he's safe. 2, he's in this fight. And 3, he's more motivated than any of us sitting, around this, sitting in the Zoom. He's totally motivated. And I think, I'm hoping that we can, we can resolve this problem of his security sooner than later. And as soon as we do, you all will see exactly what I'm saying, how true it will come across.
Thank you, Eric, for that update. So he's got the fight. That swearing in is eventually going to come. He will be sworn in as the legitimately elected president of Cameroon. Yes, it would be a matter of time, but if we stay together, if we stand together, this is eventually going to happen in as short a time as we can resist. This session today is titled "The Resistance Continues," right? And that is on us. And the next question that we had to answer today is what happens next? Whilst we are in this holding pattern, while after reassuring everyone that this Chiroma is safe, he is in the fight, and he looks forward to continuing it. What happens in the interim? What happens in the short term? You mentioned our extensive conversations with other groups, our desire to unify all efforts and bring people together. What happens in the interim? This is not a fight that we had picked, but it is where we are. And so what happens to us, the Cameroonian people, not just Project C, but us, people who want to see change, who want to see a peaceful transition in Cameroon, and who stand for the truth.
Yeah. You're inviting me now to step into the minefield, so I'll have to be very careful as I walk around,
Yeah.
But there are a number of things each of us can do at our different levels, and I'll say that as best as I know. And then, of course, there's what is being planned by should I call it the leadership of this whole movement? First, with regard to what each of us can do, we've discussed, the various platforms on which we're working. We've talked about the diplomatic. We've talked about the economic. We've talked about the diaspora in a sense, and we've talked about the communicational outreach on the ground. So the diplomatic. With regard to the diplomatic, I think that work does not. Each of us can, especially in the US, but even in other parts of the diaspora in Europe, in South Africa, we should pull attention to Cameroon. All of us can, in very small but meaningful ways. You can contact your senator. You can contact some media person. You can contact some company that may be involved in Cameroon or in Africa or has designs or for doing things in that part of the country. We are trying to fix this country, so investors like you can come. But until we do, join us in ensuring that the country becomes more accepting to foreign ideas, more willing to refine its judicial system to allow for justice to prevail. Cannot, in a country where justice does not prevail, expect an investor to come in, except the corrupt ones. So yes, all of us have a role to play wherever we are sitting, because it is all of those small things that will add up. So let's go for it. Please, if you're listening to me now, know that you're part of this. You're part of this effort, and join it in small. All the small things ultimately matter, and they will. Inform everybody you can. Let this issue look at Cameroon is not in the news. It took for a small group of people in Paris to finally convince Franz Venkat and RFE and the BBC, and to even talk about Cameroon. They were covering Côte d'Ivoire as if it's the only country that mattered. And as long as Cameroon was not in the news, it was a good thing for those people in Yaoundé. So every little effort you can to bring Cameroon back to the fore will be important. So that's with regard to what one of the things we can do. Without giving away the strategy on the economic side, I will just suggest that if you're interested, call please, we all have the numbers to Array and to Elizabeth and to myself and to Alan and to Herman and so on. I think it has to be done inbox, quote unquote. I don't know what inbox means, but I hear that word all the time. So away from what is public knowledge. I think you should reach out to, and I know because a lot of you, I was looking at some of the names of the people present. A lot of you have called me, so I know that you're aware of the fact that you can talk to us individually and separately to just know what the plans are on the economic front. And there are plans, and they're working. I can see them. When I talk to people in Cameroon, I know that things are working. So there are these plans on the economic front, again, where each of us can play a role, even if it's just a matter of calling somebody and saying and having them join the effort. So on the economic front, there are things we can do. I don't know that that is specific enough, but I hope, as I say, if you don't think it's specific enough and you're not sure what it is you can do not hesitate to call us, and I'm sure we will edify you more on that. On the diplomatic front, the same thing. Just to give you an example, we've reached out. We've reached out to a number of ambassadors. And one of the results of that outreach was that they were not in a hurry to write to congratulate the guy who thought he won the election. And even those who ultimately did, because they had to, if you look at the diplomatic language, it was clear to everybody that, no, this is not an endorsement. So part of the effort we're making is to ensure that the diplomatic community, especially those in Cameroon, are not only aware of what's going on, and all of them are, but that they act in ways that ultimately isolate this country. I really wasn't going to use that word, but I have. So isolate the country. That's ongoing. And then with regard to mass action, things like the ghost towns and stuff like that. Personally, I don't. I think we should get there when we need to, but there seems to be a desire that there should be ghost towns. So let there be ghost towns. And if you want to support that by providing some assistance to your people to stock up, that's fine too. My take on it would have been that, okay, let's get to ghost towns when we feel that people have fully understood why they're making the sacrifices we're calling on them to make. And I'm not totally sure that, because for people to fully understand it, they'll understand what future we've spelled out for them, so that they know they're fighting towards something. Their sacrifices are towards something. And we've not done enough of a job to spell out that future. We've not. We are in the process. So should we delay the ghost towns? I don't know. Should we let them go forward? That's for all of us to decide. But I think it will make more sense if people buy into what we are offering and say, okay, this is enough for me to starve myself for a few days and not go to the market or not to sell my goods on which I depend, to feed my family. So yes, these are the various things that are in the pipeline, and we will pursue them as we go forward.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Eric, for highlighting what people can do at this time. And Ellie, please feel free to jump in when you can. Let me just add a bit to what Eric has been saying with reference to this, and I want us to go back to the post-electoral strategic plan that we shared with you all, where we had 11 items of action that we're going to be taking, all with the goal of isolating this regime in such a way that the regime would not be able to stand. And for us to do that, we sometimes would have to be decisive, and we call on each one of us at all levels to make their contribution and their sacrifice. We have had extensive conversations with various groups, and the key thing that we know that will hurt the regime is their pocketbook. Their pocketbook, the inability of the regime, for example, to be able to control the narrative, to pay the salaries of workers, to be able to get another loan or to get a line of credit from the International Monetary Fund that will enable them to take more loans. Or I mean, they actually need the line of credit to service the debts that they have already put us in. This country spent 22 billion CFA organizing an election that they knew what the outcome would be. 22 billion of taxpayers' money. Millions of taxpayers' money is being spent as we speak, trying to capture the legitimately elected president of the Republic of Cameroon. Your taxpayers' money. So money in the hands of people who would misuse, mismanage, and misappropriate it does no good to the child that is going to be born tomorrow in Osing, in a health center that doesn't provide the necessary resources to give that child a chance of living. Money in the hands of people who mismanage, misappropriate, it does no good for them. When, we don't have roads on which a farmer can get their products from the farm to the market. So the notion of ghost town is not to punish the people of Cameroon. No. It is a message, a solid message, a strong message that we are sending to the government, but at the same time, it's like fighting or being in a boxing ring where it's not every punch that knocks down your opponent, but with every punch, they feel the heat. You tighten the noose around their neck to the point where they can no longer breathe. And that is what the ghost town is all about. And we saw how effective it was in the last week with 3 days of ghost town, maybe a little bit too much, but 3 days of effective ghost town. And it seems in the collective of organizations that we had conversations with, that with next week coming, that ultimately seems to be something that can effectively affect the government. So Monday and Tuesday, obviously, we're calling on people across the country. Just do this for Cameroon. Stay home. We have Sunday tomorrow for us to buy our bags of rice and gari and beans and gas and energy and recharge cards. So all the things that we need to survive for just 2 days. 2 days on which we know that every single day that we had the government of Ghost Town, the government loses upwards of 60 million CFA. And so 2 days is taking out of the coffers $122 million, a million francs CFA, which would be misappropriated, mismanaged, and mostly go into the pockets of the few against serving the many. So that's one thing that we are asking people to participate in. Stay home. Do not put yourself in harm's way. Do not go out. Civil disobedience is a right. There's nothing wrong with it. And I know that it may be painful. It's a sacrifice that we all have to make. But we're not making this to hurt anybody because we see this as a path to the future. And our Anglophone brothers have done this for years. It's probably, when the books will be written, it's probably one of the most effective ways of civil disobedience. Despite the pain that it may have caused, it is the sacrifice that is needed for us to get to where we need to be. So that's one thing that we're going to execute on this week. In between, we're going to continue telling the story. We're going to communicate as effectively as we can why it's incredibly important for people to make sacrifices, each one of us to make sacrifices. And if we in the diaspora can sponsor a family, can provide for them tomorrow to go out and shop so that they have what it takes. If you know a Benzikin driver whose business is he has to do that on that day. If you have a cousin who is in give them 1,000, 2,000 for their fuel for that is going to serve them from Wednesday to Friday, so that you can offset some of the costs. This is the campaign that we must be in, and we're asking for everybody to be part of this. Yes, we're channeling this to you today, not just from Project C. This was a broad conversation that went on all, some of us have not slept out as a result of just the planning, the discussions, the conversations that we had with reference to this. So that is the next step for the week. And then we will take it on from there. Ellie?
All right. Yes. I just want to thank you so much. I just want to add, and I just want us to all, we've listened to Eric and we've listened to Ari, and we can see where we're going. But I just want to bring it down so we could just reason and make sure that one of the things we can really do collectively is having the right conversation. This is a time where we have to be so aware of what we talk about and what is the intention, because a conversation with one person can lead to 4, 6 other conversations, and you can see how this spreads on. So if we're not intentional, this is not a time, Cameroon now is not just some entertainment conversation, okay? So we all have to be aware of what we say about Cameroon. So the least of us here, if you call somebody to talk about this call, I want to ask you to think, what is your intention? Because they will call somebody else, or they would be somewhere where they're having the conversation. So the thing, we have to really be aware of the success we've had so far. And I said earlier that so far we are having a conversation together that we've never had, a collective conversation about knowing what our future president is talking about, knowing things in the background that's happening. We've never had this closeness. We've never had, candidates come face to face and answer questions. So it is so important that, and we could just look at that like, that's minute, but that's exactly why we're here. So our conversations need to be really mindful. So the next person you call, the next person you text about Cameroon, or whatever you're saying in a meeting or group that you're in, you should now, you who were here, you who are on any of the links watching now, you should ask yourself, what message do I want to give them if they were not there? Because that message will get them heightened in their awareness and understanding of where we're going as a country. This is so important because this is part of the fight. So let's agree on the fact that this conversation, talking about the economy, I didn't know that, I don't know if you were the one who said it yesterday, being in the Villemot cost about 50 million a day. Yes, so 50 million a day. So that, now I didn't understand. I'm talking to those of us who didn't even understand it. So that to me says the Villemot is a total different thing. It's not just about people staying home. We may be staying home and we don't understand why. But even talking to that grandmother that you're making a call to in Cameroon and making them understand that her staying in the house or her not taking her things to sell in the market, it's actually going to cripple the government. It empowers people. And I think that now we're having this conversation collectively. So Bamenda and the Southwest did what it had to do. But guys, let's really think about this. That happens in Douala. That happens in the West. That happens in the North. Now, we're not going to Yaoundé yet. It is a cripple. And if it gets into Yaoundé, it's over. So that alone can bring it down. And that's what we're doing. So we really need to understand the effect at a very simplistic way of how our actions are crippling. I know that the people who are thinking is weapons. I think, and I know a lot of us know that in this modern times, it's not about the weapons. We have all the tools, the ammunition to fight. The ammunition to fight is us being here. You cannot hide things anymore. It comes out today, it's all over. You see, we can gather. They cannot control us before. They cannot separate us as we need to. Some of them don't even know how to use their own phones, let alone know the power of TikTok. And now we have thousands of youth besides us in Cameroon congregating and having plans. You need to watch this stuff. It's happening. That's the empowerment we have. That's why we are winning. That's why this regime is dying. It is a now thing. And so adding on our clarity, we're going on with the Villemot. It's a real fight that is going to happen. So in conclusion, as we're going to be having these conversations and talking to people, I want you to ask yourself what you can do right now towards the Villemot. Those of us who are not in Cameroon, maybe there are flyers that are coming out. You can blast them everywhere. We know you could do that in the conversations. Every angle, maybe posting it on your Facebook, whatever you have, the news is spreading. If you're on TikTok, maybe join a conversation, the news is spreading. So those are the things we can do. And lastly, money. Right now, as we know, we're going to need a lot of funds. And we actually have to double what we have done. We actually have to double what we have done. That's just where we are. I mean, all the endeavor that was done in Nigeria were paid by you. That's what happened. You know, the team, the camera that, that had to film Eric and the message again, there's a lot that is going on in the background. So we want to ask you to just remember that the first and maybe the least thing you could do is just donate. So we're going to be posting that, and I want you to remember that. Eric, we're not taking it back, but I had a question that came through. It's a very basic question, but I'm sure that is one that is running in a lot of people's minds. And it says, I think this was from Wase. If ITB is sworn in while Biya regime is in place, how will he be able to?
I guess I should answer that question, and I will. That is, that question is at the heart of everything we do. And that's why we're approaching this the way we're approaching it. But time is important, but time is not the only factor. The hope is that in the next few months, and I say months, there's not total agreement on that. There are those who think it should be 3 months, those who think it should be 2, those who think 1. But, we're expecting that this is where ITB will throw caution to the wind and land in Cameroon. And those who are for change will stand up and be counted. And he's willing to sacrifice it all and do that when the time comes. Jean-Vincent dit quelque chose, s'il vous plaît.
No problem. Can he be on camera so we can identify him because we can't see him? And I don't know if any of the co-hosts can see
His
him.
name starts with a T,
Okay.
TCH.
Anyone in the team, if we could see that, I think I saw it.
Yeah.
TCHIENOHOM or something.
Okay. TC.
Well, if you can't see Jean-Vincent, then we should go on. But I think,
Okay, I see him.
I
Yeah,
found it.
I'm asking him to unmute.
Okay.
yeah, TCHIENEHOM.
Yep, he's on. Well, if he
Voilà.
can be unmute.
If you can unmute him, it'll be even better.
I've asked him to. He has to.
Okay. Très bien.
Okay. While it's taking a minute to come in, it might take a minute. But
Well, people from my generation may not quite know how quickly to get these things to work. We think we should go and reinvent it or something.
should we have somebody close to him?
Oui, bonjour Eric. Oui, bonjour.
Please, bonjour.
Bonjour, Jean-Vincent.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Je ne sais plus. Attendez. Oui,
Pour
allô.
la caméra.
Ah oui.
Mhm.
Il faut la caméra. Il faut la caméra.
Pas qu'il le faut, mais c'est une bonne idée de l'avoir, je crois.
Ah, je ne sais pas pourquoi.
Bon,
écoutez, il y a au moins
là où il y
le
a
son.
le micro, juste à côté du micro, il y a
Attends, oui, la vidéo, oui, bien sûr. Bah,
voilà.
Ok. Bon, alors, j'enlève ma...
Mhm.
Je suis quelque part là où j'ai un peu froid. Oui, alors, écoutez, je suis heureux d'être parmi vous et de voir tout ce que vous faites pour que la démocratie s'installe dans notre pays. Je pense que nous devons tous rechercher comment le faire. Et j'avoue que c'est compliqué. C'est compliqué. La tâche n'est pas facile pour M. Issa Chiroma. Je voyais hier, quelqu'un disait, qu'est-ce qu'il peut faire? Est-ce qu'il va devenir un rebelle, un futur prisonnier, ou bien, bon, son destin est compliqué là. Et nous devons l'aider à comment dirais-je, à accomplir sa mission, qui est de sensibiliser les gens, qui est de continuer ce combat, voilà, et puis voilà. Ce n'est pas facile. Ce n'est pas facile parce qu'il a besoin du soutien du peuple qui est très brimé actuellement, qui rencontre beaucoup de difficultés. Et moi, je me demandais justement comment on fait pour tous ces jeunes qui ont été arrêtés, qui sont actuellement conduits devant le tribunal militaire pour certains. C'est très compliqué. Je pense que nos avocats qui les suivent ont besoin de vraiment beaucoup de soutien. Parce que je vois, je ne sais plus quel avocat fait un rapport presque quotidien sur tout ce qui se passe. Donc moi, je pense que la diaspora devrait vraiment soutenir tous ces avocats qui font beaucoup pour ces jeunes-là. On doit aussi surveiller tous ceux qui ont ouvert malgré les villes mortes et dont les boutiques ont été scellées. Oui, je crois. Parce que comment on règle ce problème actuellement, en fait? Tous ces gens qui ont vu leurs boutiques scellées, comment, quand ils ont voulu réouvrir, est-ce qu'on leur a permis? Quelle est leur situation? Je pense qu'on peut aussi regarder un peu ce côté-là, je crois. Voilà, quoi. Voilà. C'est des choses très concrètes. Je pense qu'il ne faut pas appeler aux gens à la résistance en oubliant de voir quelles conditions ils doivent subir pour continuer cette résistance-là. Je crois que toutes ces choses-là sont importantes à suivre.
Ouais.
Évidemment, on est à l'écoute d'abord du gouvernement que Yaoundé va nommer. Est-ce que ça va se faire rapidement? La dernière fois, il a fallu attendre 3 mois, je crois, c'est en janvier, je crois que le gouvernement avait été nommé. Ce sera une indication importante quand même, hein, pour voir si ce sont les durs qui ont le deal, enfin, ont le pouvoir, ou alors si les gens qui sont conciliants ont réussi à se faire entendre. Bon, donc ce sera une indication quand même. Puis, on attend aussi de l'autre côté. Ce que le président Issa Chiroma va faire, comment il va proclamer sa prestation de serment, est-ce qu'il va constituer un gouvernement? Est-ce que ce gouvernement aura des gens qui sont dans le pays ou uniquement des gens de la diaspora? Est-ce que ce seront des gens dont les noms seront tenus secrets? Tout ça est très difficile à... bon, j'espère qu'il est très bien entouré, que les gens... j'ai vu quelqu'un hier, je crois que c'est Patrice Ngadan, dire que, oh là là, voilà ce qui va faire en sorte que les gens abandonnent Chiroma s'il parle de paix. Alors là, vous voyez, c'est très compliqué. Est-ce qu'il doit parler de paix ou est-ce qu'il doit dire nous voulons le changement, mais dans la paix? Vous savez, c'est ce que Maurice Kamto a toujours dit et on a considéré qu'il était trop mou, en fait. Voilà, en fait, le genre de questions difficiles. Hein. J'avoue que j'ai pas de réponse. Franchement, c'est des situations nouvelles hein, pour nous. Hein. Ça ne s'est jamais produit dans notre pays, donc c'est pas facile. C'est pas facile. Donc il faut vraiment que le président, que M. Chiroma s'entoure de tous les conseils possibles. Et oui, dernière chose, j'ai vu aussi que le nonce apostolique à Yaoundé a été reçu hier par le pape. Vous savez qu'on parle beaucoup d'une visite prochaine du pape au Cameroun. L'archevêque de Douala avait convoqué une réunion avec les autorités administratives il y a une dizaine de jours, hein. Il y a 8 jours à peu près seulement, hein, pour préparer les grandes lignes de cette visite qui se confirme apparemment avec la réception, avec l'entretien que le pape a eu hier à Rome avec le nonce apostolique. C'est des choses qu'il faut regarder aussi. Je pense que on doit faire quelque chose en direction du Vatican pour que le Vatican est très bien informé, bien sûr. Bon, dans quel cadre le Vatican situe cette visite? Est-ce que c'était une chose prévue longtemps à l'avance? Est-ce que, bon, je ne sais pas. Donc, voilà. Mais ce qui est certain, c'est que du côté diplomatique, Yaoundé a des soucis à se faire quand même. Parce que même si, par exemple, les États-Unis ont l'ambassade a adressé ses félicitations, ce n'est pas tellement pour l'élection, c'est pour l'entrée en fonction. Bon, c'est normal. Hein. En langage diplomatique, on doit continuer à avoir des relations avec un pays, quel que soit son gouvernement, on doit continuer à avoir des relations. Mais donner le soutien à ce gouvernement, ça c'est autre chose. Et je pense que ça, c'est quand même un problème pour le gouvernement de Biya actuellement. Et c'est une chose sur laquelle on peut surfer, ça c'est clair. Voilà un peu ce que je voulais dire. Donc vraiment, beaucoup de courage à nous tous. Hein. Nous suivons tout cela avec beaucoup d'attention. Voilà.
Merci infiniment, Jean-Vincent. Et je vois, je lis là beaucoup de messages de félicitations, de remerciements, Alain et tout ce monde-là. Donc, merci beaucoup et merci que tu sois venu. Et j'espère qu'on va continuer à œuvrer ensemble jusqu'au résultat. Il y a même Boris qui est très content. Merci. Donc, Harry, I think it's over to you now.
Thank you. I just want to just a few things to inform everybody. One, the collective of various organizations is going to share information about the ghost town and how it's going to happen. So please stand by. We will be sharing as much information after this on various platforms about that, how that's going to happen, how many, the number of days, and all of that information, flyers and things will come out. Two, just to be very clear, before the elections of this year, everybody was told in Cameroon that you cannot get results published polling station by polling station. How we managed to be fooled as a people that we cannot do that, that's what happened. But in these elections, we told people the truth, what was possible, and it happened. People stayed in polling stations, even when the minister came up with a ministerial order saying that they couldn't do that. So let me be clear to every sous-prefet and prefet that goes around asking private citizens whose businesses pay taxes that enables them to wear the uniforms that they wear, that it is the right of every individual, universally acknowledged, not only in Cameroon in its constitution has a universal declaration of human rights. We cannot settle for less. We cannot settle for things that these sous-prefets are doing, stealing people's businesses. And then we get about, the neighbor comes and see my neighbor's business sealed, and then I open mine. Because civil disobedience demands solidarity. So let's not accept the things that are wrong and make them normal. It's unconscionable that we would stand as a country, as a people, that a senior divisional officer who went to school on taxpayer dime to be taught how to become an administrator will tell a woman who didn't go to school, who is making the conscious, legitimate choice of shutting down her business in the interest of her country and maybe even her security, that she should open up her business. Who has education amongst those two people? Is it the woman who is making the deliberate choice to do what she believes is right and has the freedom to do it? Or is it the divisional officer who is only doing so to preserve his position and get pocket money against the interest of everyone else? That's not advocating for peace. That's thinking about themselves and their own survival against the interest of every one of us. So we should not accept certain things. Those are not truths that we should hold. So let's dismiss them, but let the people be in solidarity with one another. And I even heard that woman, that we've seen Cameroonians in the diaspora raise money to support the woman whose business was sealed. Those are things that we must do to show that what is right and what is wrong. I've seen one of the influencers in Europe who has raised over $13,000 to give the 38 families that have been identified nearly $250,000 to support those families that have lost their dear ones. A people united can stand against all odds. So these common challenges that we face, we should be able to mobilize ourselves around them, to be able to not allow these things to happen, because when they happen, they eventually become truths. Lies that become truths, and we stand with them. So I completely ask for people to be in solidarity with everyone another. It is your right not to open your business, and we must stand to support those who take a stand because that's the only way that civil disobedience and movements like this around the world have survived. So let's keep our ears open to help one another through this challenging time. I thought I should really highlight that, because that's something that has always been at the back of my mind, to say, let's just speak the truth for what it is. The divisional officer is not doing that in your interest. He's doing it because he knows that it's going to affect his pocket money, and not the woman who's selling her tomatoes in the market.
Exactly.
Okay.
We have a question. Now we have, I think it's Babila Jonathan.
Babila has his hand up, yes.
Yes, he's had his hand up. Could you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to ask you. That was me. Okay.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've been following up very keenly all the conversations around these issues, and I just want to first of all say thank you to all of you. Thank you to Senior Eric, Barrister Array, Elizabeth, and all of you out there doing what you're doing. It gives us some hope. What you're doing rekindles hope in many of us who are here living what I can qualify as hell, living the precarious situation in which the country finds itself today. And I must tell you that it is so appalling. It is so unbearable. Some of us who have been in the press for quite a long time, and seeing all of these things happening, and seeing some colleagues who are going about doing the work of journalists, reporting with no salary, depending on 5,000, 10,000 from some fellows around who use it to manipulate them and turn them into puppets, and who are roaming around like hungry ducks looking for what to eat. I'm sorry if I'm really very raw on this. It's because I'm feeling the pain in my bones. I'm so angry about this whole thing. But you know, as far as we are here, it's difficult for us to do some things. And for those of us who are striving to take our heads above the water and take some bold steps in doing some of the things that we're doing in our job as journalists, there is a kind of something like a sledgehammer, something like a sword looming over our heads, and sometimes we are really going about our job with some fear, because you know, even as no matter how courageous you can be as a human being, sometimes fear will just be around, and you know, the situation is just so bad. But with what you're doing, we have hope. We have hope that things will get better. We have hopes that some of the things that have become almost looking like an impossibility in Cameroon will actually come to pass with all these initiatives that you're undertaking there. But we're talking with Cameroonians here on a daily basis. We're communicating with them, we're interviewing them, we're getting their opinions, their views about this whole thing. And when I look at the way a lot of Cameroonians react to the 3-day ghost town, I'm asking myself, another ghost town, how to make it work? This is the big question that is in my brain. How to make it work, how to get Cameroonians believe that something can come out of this, how to get Cameroonians to stop thinking about food. You know, A lot of people are just thinking about what they're going to eat on a daily basis, because that is the way they have lived since they were born, so to speak, seeing their parents living on a day-to-day basis, living from hand to mouth, going out every day to fetch a loaf of bread. And when you listen to some of them, they are just like, what are we going to eat? What are we going to do? How are we going to? They're asking a lot of survival questions. That kind of that seems to puncture the momentum of Ghost Town and the impact that it could produce. So I'm just asking myself, what can be done? What can be done to really get many Cameroonians? Because, of course, when you talk to many Cameroonians, even those who are close to the CPDM, even those who are close to the regime, at one point, they will tell you the truth. They will tell you what they have in their minds. Like even some of the bigwigs of the CPDM, some of the officials, when they come on set for an interview, they will tell you a lot of things. And I mean, a lot of lies, so to speak, a lot of things that are not true, and they know that it's not true. But when they leave the camera, when they are behind the camera, they will tell you the truth. They will tell you, look, what we are saying, what I was just telling you just a few minutes ago was just politics. I know that this is how it is. This is how it's supposed to be. They know, and they want it. They desire that change. But there is something that is holding them back. I'm talking about
that that's not what's going to happen. So there are certain regions that it was very successful. So first question, do you think the overall Villemot was successful because it covered a lot of regions?
Yes, I think it was successful to a greater extent. I think it was successful because even though some people try to give the impression that people stayed in their homes because of fear, of course, but that is not from my analysis and from the conversations I've had so far with the people that we've been interviewing all around the country. It wasn't really a matter of fear. It wasn't really a matter of fear. Quite a good number of the people were really, and some were asking us, after this, what next?
Right. So
after this, what next? So
yeah.
I think that it was quite successful when we look at the way, even here in Douala, the next days, after the ghost town, we could still see that there were people who were still kind of hesitating till today. There are still a lot of businesses that are shut down.
Right. Okay. So obviously, and we've heard this also, overall, it was successful and it did impact the economy. Now, and so another thing you're saying is people, from what you're saying, that it's not just because they're scared. So people, we have seen, and you have seen, that people are motivated and they understand the essence of the Villemot, right? Because even just for the 3 days they did it. So then my next question to you is, what do you think we need? I am, assumably I'm thinking, it's the education, is what we're having now, is the conversation. What is the kind of conversation? So we thought about having conversations as educating people on why this is important, how successful, what happened, what they did, how successful it was, and why we need it again. Obviously, we may not need a week, but we may need a day or we may need 2 days, most likely 2 days. What do you think about that? What is the kind of education conversation we need to have?
I think that we need to have these conversations out of this, not just here on Zoom and so on. We need to have these conversations out of Zoom, on television, on radio, and even on, for those of us who are, some of us like Mimimefo, who have social media platforms with a huge followership. I think she's doing quite a great job there, pushing that the message across to the people. I think we need. That's why earlier I was saying that I'm thinking about a conversation next week in the show that we'll run with one of you guys to talk about this, because I think, and then I think it should, because I'm seeing like our francophone brothers and sisters seem not to be pushing this quite much. We've been having conversations with Barrister, with Eric on Talking Point, some excerpts broadcast in the inside for the news. But at the level of the francophone side, it seems not to be really. We need to step up that way, because it's not like we're just talking to on the phones. We're talking to all Cameroonians, and I feel that, for example, if there were to be a 10-15 minute conversation on this issue in the 8 p.m. primetime news in French, it will make a greater impact than the 6 p.m. Logically, because the 6 p.m., the viewership of the 6 p.m. news that is just in English is relatively lower than that of the 8 p.m. news. So if there were to be a possibility of having at first, before now, I'm talking about the case of Equinox, before now there was L'Invité Journal, but that does no longer exist. But I think that there is Equinox Soir, which has a great viewership. If some of you can come on board in such a conversation, I'm going to discuss that with my editor-in-chief. If you can bring some of you on board to pass across this message, to educate Cameroonians on this issue. I think it will be great. And same for the other media outlets like Canal 2 and the others that have a significant viewership, even though away from Equinox, we already know the line of functioning or operation of the others, which may not really be favorable for this, but then we can push it through, and I think that it can work. I think it can create some impact in terms of changing minds, changing mindset, because this is what I'm seeing as what the driving force that will bring Cameroonians to that point of moving with this.
Abre definitely has a lot of information. I'm going to let him talk about that. I just want to give the comment, and this is my personal comment. I totally agree with you bringing the Francophones, because really the Villemot has been something that the Anglophones have done for years now. And so it's spreading around the country. And because you said it was successful, we've heard it was successful, definitely impacted the economy. It is so true. We currently, for everybody's info, we're currently, I just did the count, we're at maybe 1,400 being watched right now, because we're on about 3 or 4 different platforms as we speak. And of course, that number is going to increase. So that definitely is something that everything we do here is now being streamed across Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So, just so you know. Thank you so much, Babla. Ari, please.
Yeah. And let me just also highlight some comments that are going on.
Yeah.
One is, make we get this conversation too in Pidgin, so that we
Okay.
brothers and sisters, the way they no go sase, make them to. Yeah, I'm just picking up the comments, make them to understand this. And then I also have seen another comment which says that it may be difficult to have this conversation on state media because it's regulated by the state. But social media is the way to go. We can make short videos on TikTok and all of this. Let me just say to people listening that Ghost Town is not the solution, right? It's one of the many things that we have to do. It's one of many, many, many things, because it's just, again, it's one tool in the toolbox. It's not the only tool in the toolbox. Eric spoke about the diplomatic effort that has paid off so far, right? Diplomatic effort has paid off. And I must also tell you guys that only 3 days of Ghost Town also paid off, because you saw those senior divisional officers on the streets. Let me give a historical context of Ghost Town for people to know. After the 1992 elections in Cameroon, what brought the Biya regime to call what was called the tripartite talks was the Villemots that were taking place primarily in Douala, right? Because they had to do that for economic reasons. And those Villemots went on for 4, 5, 6 months in Douala. It had an impact. What was the impact of the tripartite talks? It gave us the constitution that we have now. Even though that constitution is being violated, it was a document that was written. In fact, the only thing that fell short of that constitution was the part that we didn't get a federal state, and they had this, regional thing, or whatever they call it. But I'm saying that the only time that this government has made concessions is when it has an economic pinch. I would also say even the grand dialogue that was had, the grand dialogue on the Anglophone issue, which yielded nothing, was also because of those daily, weekly, 1 day a week ghost towns in Anglophone Cameroon, because it takes a while for somebody. It's like having a cancer and you want to choke the cancer off, and you do it one piece at a time until you eventually get there. So this is conversations that we're having with a broad-based group of people that, like I said, information is going to come out on how the ghost towns is going to be, the flyers and everything. But I know that we've spoken a lot in English. Well, there was somebody who spoke in French, but I want also a response this question that Babila raised about the ghost towns, come from somebody who is French speaking. Before we come to Christian Yotha, I know that we have Jean-Marie with us. Jean-Marie wanted to follow up with an answer to this whole question about ghost town. So once we unmute Jean-Marie, he'll be able to share his thoughts on it. For those who know me, I'm probably one of the most moderate voices that you could ever find. But I'm also somebody who walks in the light of the truth, right? That knowing what I know with the work that we have done on this campaign, there's just no way that I can turn back from the reality of what we have experienced, that the majority of the people stood up and said something to us and the country and the world, and for a few people to just take that away. I will never go to bed with my conscience in the right place if I thought that to be normal. Now, as we talk about people who, yes, have to find food for themselves, in 2025, 65 years after independence, people struggling to find their daily bread is a conversation that we're having as a country, then we have completely lost our way. If we were talking about people having to own their own homes and start their own businesses and create savings accounts for their children's educations and have investment accounts, 65 years after independence, we would say that we've been on a journey. This is what we are talking about. Buying bread tomorrow. In the lives of people who have gone through 27 years of education and cannot find a job. If we cannot make this sacrifice today, then 10 years later, the next generation of people will be walking in the same shoes. We would have lost our way completely. So this is something that we have to decide as a people. Do we stay and accept the status quo, all of us? Those of us who maybe have a daily bread that we can put, right? We could walk away from this as well. But it's not going to change the life of that person who every other day will have to wake up to a reality and yet no hope. There are many who live in despair, and it takes enormous sacrifice, reasonable sacrifice. I'm not saying that, I mean, it's painful that people have lost their lives, and we do not want to see any more loss of life. This is why we think about non-violent strategies of how we manifest and express ourselves and keep punching that regime so until it collapses. So, Babila, to your question, this is the $1 million question that we all have, right? And let's not also allow, let perfect not be the enemy of good, because we would not have 100% score. But if we have 65, if we have 70, it's good enough than nothing. Yeah. Eli, you're muted. I don't, yeah.
I'm sorry about that. Jean-Marie was ready. And then I think we also have Leopold.
Okay.
In French, yes.
So we go first with Jean-Marie.
Yeah, Jean-Marie.
Oui.
Okay.
Alors, vous n'allez pas me voir pour éviter que je suis dans un milieu où les enfants bavardent. Bon, alors, moi, je voudrais dire spécialement que j'ai suivi l'intervention. D'abord, je dis bonsoir à tous les nouvelles personnes qui sont là. Le groupe est assez impressionnant, intéressant. Preuve que le travail que nous faisons depuis évolue et c'est un succès, une participation record, près de plus de 100 personnes. J'étais hors de la ville, c'est pour ça que j'arrive très en retard. Je voudrais rassurer M. Babila que les villes mortes, même en l'État est véritablement secoué. Donc, si nous continuons avec la stratégie que nous avons prévue 2 jours par semaine, au bout de, je ne sais pas si on atteindra même 1 ou 2 mois, l'État sera paralysé. Vous n'imaginez pas la difficulté aujourd'hui dans les 2 ports de Douala et de Kribi. Oh là là.
Jean-Marie,
Yeah.
I hope he's not run out of power on his.
Right. We have your poll also. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, okay. I'll also go in French like Jean-Marie. Les villes mortes à Yaoundé, ça a été partiellement suivi. Il y a des quartiers qui ont été bien atteints. J'habite un coin pas loin de Mokolo, marché de Mokolo, où ça bougeait. Bon, c'était pas non plus évident parce qu'il y a un commissariat de police vraiment au sein du marché de Mokolo. Mais dans l'ensemble, et les villes mortes, c'est la chose qui est toujours, c'est l'arme qui est toujours redoutée par le pouvoir en place. Et à la suite de ce que Harry a dit, les fameuses villes mortes de 92 avaient les conséquences. L'un des effets de cette ville morte, c'est que ça a été aussi paradoxal que cela puisse être, on a déplacé les headquarters, les directions générales de douane et tout ça à Yaoundé. Vous imaginez l'essentiel de leurs activités, c'est à Douala, mais la direction générale, on l'a ramené à Yaoundé. Même au niveau des états-majors de l'armée, la marine l'a ramené à Yaoundé. Donc, c'est pour dire un peu les conséquences. Je ne sais pas ce que ça a résolu comme problème, mais en fait, pas grand-chose. Ce que nous redoutons le plus à Yaoundé, c'est la paralysie de ne pas être en mesure de payer les salaires. Ça touche les fonctionnaires, ça touche les retraités. Et vous pouvez le croire dans plusieurs perceptions du Trésor. Quand le salaire traîne, si je prends le cas de Château à l'entrée de l'université, quand les pensions mettent 2 ou 3 jours de retard, ben, les gens se couchent carrément sur la chaussée pour empêcher les voitures de passer. les papes précédents. Le Cameroun est l'un des rares pays africains à avoir reçu plusieurs papes. Jean-Paul II est venu 2 fois au Cameroun. C'est plutôt rare. Donc, il y a ces rapports viciés que des gens peuvent redouter. Donc, voilà un peu les différents axes de com que nous devons absolument asseoir, développer parallèlement aux villes mortes, que ce soit 1 jour, 2 jours, peu importe, mais c'est important parce que les villes mortes, ça participe de la légitimité du président élu. C'est parce que les gens suivent ces mots d'ordre que ça nous permet aussi d'appuyer le travail, l'offensive diplomatique qui est en cours et qui porte vraiment des résultats. Donc voilà un peu ce que je peux dire pour l'instant. Mais nous restons toujours extrêmement prudents et surtout responsables. Responsables dans tout ce que nous faisons et c'est parfait. Voilà ce que je pouvais dire déjà pour pouvoir nous encourager. La lutte continue en tout cas. Merci.
La lutte continue. Merci beaucoup, Léopold. And I don't know, we have Christian Yota had her hand up. Yeah. And after that, I think we'll come back to Eric so that we can begin to round up the conversation, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done after this. Before, as many people are asking these questions, we have to begin to communicate more effectively. I also want to say to everyone that we're unlike the regime that thinks that they have all the answers. We don't have all the answers. We are not perfect. We're learning as we're going. We're building as we're going, and there may be a lot of things that you may know. You may have ideas. You have ways to contribute to an outcome. Please feel free to reach out. And again, it may take several calls for us to be able to get back to you, because we're fielding as many of them. I just want to put that out there so that you know that we're really open to new ideas and effective ways in which we can do. And Babila, your thoughts were also, those are ways in which we can all welcome feedback that will be helpful for us as we work together with everyone to try to move towards our common purpose. So, Elia, I'll turn this over to Christian. I also see that Alain Oyono's hand is up as well.
So maybe Christian first and then Alain.
Yes, okay. Thanks.
Christian, you might want to unmute. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Well, it's the first time I'm actually following this project. It's the first time I've heard of it. And the first time I actually trying to get involved. I must, first of all, comment what you're doing. It's a very, very good thing. And looking at the picture in a holistic approach, I'm calling from UK. I'm in the UK and I've been to Cameroon quite a few times. So looking at the picture in a holistic approach, I think it is quite important. I always look at myself as a reflective practitioner here. I think that education is the key. And the past 7 years in Cameroon, a lot of things has changed because they started educating people about the common good. People did not understand that before. Now, what you are doing, you are actually moving it a step further, which is brilliant. And how can we actually ensure that it is effective? Because it's about being effective. Now, being consistent and mainly resilient. Now, the resilience is something that Cameroonians don't have most of the time. I was listening to Babila. I'm sure you will remember me. So I was in Equinox about 5 years ago. Good evening, Babila, to you. So I was listening to Babila when he said that a francophone are somehow not pulling their weight in. Now, I actually rephrase that. And I would say that the Francophones are somehow slow to understand how impactful resilience can change the life of the entire country. And how can they actually absorb this is by educating them about it is not life on a daily basis, but it's about living for the future and looking at what we're trying to achieve in a long term. And how do we do that? Having this type of conversation, not only on the forum, yes, on the forum, yes, on TV, yes, on radio as well, where people could come and have the conversation about what does that mean, or showcase how things are done better elsewhere, because people were resilient and they did not accept less. Now, I'm in education. I'm sorry to come back all the time here. Being a director of education here, I mean, I've been in so many places where it always starts with that. And that is the key to every progress, everything that we have to actually achieve in life. If people don't understand the benefits of what we are trying to achieve, they are not going to buy into the project, or they are actually going to drag their feet. Now, the first step you are doing now is starting to educate. And I'm happy and I'm glad I've actually joined this forum. Out of the blue, an invitation was sent to me and said, hey, let me just join it. Yes, I'm glad I joined the forum. And how do we actually carry on? And how do we actually make it consistent across the board? Set a time, for example. Say, hey, we want to appear on TV. Equinox is one of the channel I watch from time to time here, and that's the only channel I watch here in the UK on Facebook. Set a time, 8 o'clock in the morning, or for example, weekend where people are at home, because weekend are very accepted. People are at home. I'm not sure, not very true in Cameroon, because people are actually working 24/7. It's the same thing in the UK, but at least that weekend, the pace is reduced. So 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon when people are back from work in the weekend, what is the situation? This is what we are trying to achieve. What does that mean to have ghost town? It doesn't mean that we are trying to stop people for selling their good or opening their shop. It's about us saying no to what is not normal. People have started to understand since Camto. I have gone back to Camto. Started to understand that education. He started educating people that we should not accept less than what is done elsewhere, because Cameroon is a great nation.
Yeah. Christian, thank you so much for your intervention. I have a feeling that we'll have to loop you into more conversation so you can bring your thoughts to the table, because this is how we all got involved in this project. This is our project, it's your project, and I see that you have the passion and the points that you have raised are incredibly important, that we think you should bring your talent to the table, and let's continue leveraging it to do what is needed at this point. Yeah, we build on every foundation that has been laid, and hopefully there will be people that come after us and continue to build on the foundation that we are laying today. Let's go on to
thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Christian. I have a feeling I'm going to look for a number. Are you part of the Project C? Can you join the Project C WhatsApp?
Well, I don't know how to
Well,
join, but
there is
I was sent a link today from Zoom, an invitation to this forum. But I'll be happy to actually,
Yes, we'll drop the link in there, and anybody else who's joining for the first time, join the Project C, and then please don't only post things there. We want people to reach out and be part of the the organizing team, so to speak. We want more people to get involved, so that many hands will do even lighter work. Eric, we have 2 interventions or 2 hands up, and then so we'll go to Alan, then Junior Abena, and then we'll try to close with what next. So okay, yeah.
Ok, merci. Bonsoir à tout le monde. Heureux de voir le nombre de personnes qui sont connectées. Et j'ai suivi avec attention cette question sur les villes mortes. Et cette question sur les villes mortes, elle avait quelque chose de vraiment particulier. C'est-à-dire que le point précis, c'était de dire, est-ce que des gens qui vivent au jour le jour peuvent supporter un rythme continu, régulier de ville morte, en sachant que ce sont des gens qui travaillent aujourd'hui pour payer de quoi manger le lendemain. Et pardon d'être direct et pratique et pragmatique, enfin j'essaye. Je pense que on peut éduquer des gens, mais un ventre affamé n'a point d'oreille. Donc, la vraie question, c'est comment résoudre ce problème. Moi, j'ai une proposition simple. C'est que revenons à pourquoi est-ce que on fait ces villes mortes. Elles ont 2 objectifs. Il y a un premier objectif qui est de délégitimer le président de fait, qui est légal, et légitimer le président réel qui a été élu. Ça, c'est le premier objectif. Le deuxième objectif, c'est de donner un signal au gouvernement que progressivement, s'il n'entend pas la voix du peuple, alors le peuple va monter en pression pour l'asphyxier économiquement, tout simplement. Maintenant, est-ce que ces 2 objectifs doivent être poursuivis pour être parfaits tout de suite? J'aurais tendance à dire que non. Je pense que, comme Ariel a dit, Rome ne s'est pas fait en un jour. Les choses peuvent se faire progressivement. Et pour ne pas perdre beaucoup de temps, j'en viens à ma proposition pour faire une tentative de répondre précise à la question. Je pense qu'on peut garder le rythme convenu pour les villes mortes et s'entendre à ce que ce soit, par exemple, tournant. Parce que quand on est dans un marché, il ne faut pas nécessairement que toutes les boutiques du marché ferment pour que le premier message passe. Ça peut être qu'une moitié de boutique ferme un jour, l'autre moitié ouvre l'autre jour. Ça peut être que ça se fait dans un certain nombre de villes aujourd'hui et dans un certain nombre d'autres villes le lendemain. Donc, introduire cette mécanique de tournage, ville morte tournante, soit ville par ville, soit population par population, ça peut permettre de réduire l'effort qui est fait individuellement par les gens. Et je pense que ça, c'est une mesure qui adresse la question qui était posée. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Alain. Alain has an incredible ability in responding to these difficult questions. And so we really appreciate that mindset. And I think it's helpful. This is how we must be thinking. We have to be open to think, reflect, and adjust to what is needed at any one time. We're going to go on to Junior Abena. Junior, est-ce que vous avez... Junior, si tu nous attends, il faut, how do they say, unmute yourself in French?
Il faut ouvrir le micro.
Il faut ouvrir le micro. Junior? Ok, voilà, ça va.
Oh, fat fingering.
Junior. Okay, so whilst we're waiting for Junior to adjust that, I just again want to just thank everybody for being patient with us and for being part of this conversation, and to remind you all that as we speak, let's not also forget that we have nearly 1,000 people that are in jail at this time, that we have to continue to support them in one way or the other. I'm not without revealing any much more information. We've had a significant contribution that is going to support these people on the ground in Cameroon. And to that anonymous donor, I really want to say thank you. This is money that's going directly to supporting the people on the ground in Cameroon. And we're asking for people like that who would want to invest that $20,000, that $30,000, that $50,000 into this project, because we cannot leave those people behind. We cannot. We have to make sure that they have the best lawyers, the best legal defense. And as we move forward, I want people to be reminded that we will face legal challenges. We will face challenges ahead, and that these contributions, are very helpful in addressing those challenges as they come along, or opportunities that we have to invest in, like the documentary that Eric spoke about, or even the communication strategy that we're going to have to implement, the offensive that we're having on the international scene, whether it's working with lobbies to open doors into Élysée and number 10 Downing Street and the White House and all of those places. That's what those resources are going for. So I noticed that we just had somebody donate $50 to help those families in Cameroon. I want to thank that donor who just did that. And I want to ask everybody else who is thinking about it or has not made a contribution, or even if you have made a contribution, because this particular donor has made contributions before, please, this is the moment for you to support this effort, this campaign, for us to continue to grow. I think Junior is now good to go. So.
Thank you very much. Je pense que maintenant, vous me suivez très bien.
Oui, absolument.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur le barista. Merci également à tous ceux qui ont pris la parole tout à l'heure, monsieur Tindjé et mon confrère Jonathan Babila, qui a fait un très bon rapport sur la situation des Ghost Towns. Et nous vivons actuellement une situation un peu mitigée parce que les populations n'ont pas véritablement de repères. Vous savez qu'il y a eu des mouvements autonomes qui se sont déclenchés dans la ville. Et ça fait que du coup, il n'y a plus un contrôle systématique, il n'y a pas une convergence de mots d'ordre. C'est-à-dire que les gens ont pris des initiatives. C'est vrai, avant même les ghost towns, avant même la proclamation, il y a eu des initiatives et tout ça. Et après, on a vu tout ce qui s'est passé. Donc aujourd'hui, il est question de renforcer ce sentiment-là. Parce que beaucoup pensent que, comme vous savez, l'élection a été... il y a eu un braquage institutionnel. Et aujourd'hui, il faut légitimer le résultat des urnes, même si le régime a pris des dispositions pour museler une bonne partie des médias, pour oppresser davantage. Parce que, comme vous le savez, moi, je suis des médias, j'ai été à Equinox aussi avec Babila, j'ai fait 5 ans avant d'aller à Canal 2. Aujourd'hui, j'ai beaucoup plus consultant. J'essaye d'aller dans les médias. Avant-hier, j'étais. Et bien, pendant la cérémonie d'investiture, j'ai été invité pour commenter. Mais il y a des éléments de langage qu'on ne peut plus utiliser dans les médias classiques. À partir du moment où vous mettez en porte-à-faux le résultat du Conseil constitutionnel, on peut vous prendre, on peut venir vous arrêter, on peut vous coller un motif et tout ça. Aujourd'hui, Aujourd'hui, les villes mortes, c'est un élément important. Il ne faut pas que les gens pensent que c'est ça payé. Avant même les villes mortes, il y a eu une manifestation, une aspiration populaire. Les gens ont voulu réagir parce que non seulement on savait déjà que le résultat du Conseil constitutionnel était déjà truqué, mais là, les gens ont manifesté leur colère. Il y a eu un ras-le-bol. Maintenant, c'est comment organiser ça, comment canaliser cette force. C'est vrai qu'en 92, les villes mortes étaient organisées par un collectif, c'est-à-dire le directoire des partis politiques et des associations, des partis politiques d'opposition et des associations, avec le SDF, l'UDP, l'UNDP, voilà, tous ces partis, le MP, Jean-Jacques Kindi, voilà, il y avait également l'UPC, tous les partis politiques convergeaient vers une plateforme et qui donnait des mots d'ordre. Bon, maintenant, il n'y a que le FNCNC qui est seul qui est soutenu par l'Union pour le changement, dont les leaders ont été embastillés. Donc, maintenant, comment, au niveau de la communication, on pourra y mettre des éléments tout en soutenant une frange de population qui est aussi déjà instrumentalisée? Parce que la dernière fois, j'essayais de vous expliquer que au niveau de Douala, par exemple, le RDPC a essayé d'instrumentaliser les frustrés, c'est-à-dire que ceux de Cabral Libye qui ont perdu, et même ceux de Matomba et tout ça. Donc, ils ont utilisé les foyers de tension comme New Bell Bata, voyez, parce que New Bell Bassa, il y a une bonne communauté des Bassa là-bas, et à Dedo aussi. Donc, ils ont utilisé ces quartiers-là comme comme des boucliers contre les manifestants. C'est-à-dire que, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Ils ont mis en place ils ont mis des populations qui sont érigées on ne sait pas, en auxiliaire pratiquement de FMO, puisqu'ils ont même indiqué les populations, ceux qui allaient faire des casses ou même qui allaient détériorer les marchandises dans les boutiques et tout, qui revenaient au quartier, on les indexait directement et des fois, les forces de police venaient les prendre même à la maison. Donc, ils ont érigé les autodéfenses comme ça dans les quartiers, au point où même on se posait la question s'ils ne vont même pas être finalement des milices armées. Parce que ces gars-là étaient tellement zélés. On a même vu des vidéos où un certain Zang Eli du RDPC faisait un rapport devant un colonel de la mairie pour expliquer, faire un rapport de la situation avec quelques gars du quartier qu'il avait avec lui pour leur dire que mon colonel, on a bien travaillé à Nubel, voilà ce qui s'est passé, voilà. On a vu ces vidéos circuler. On a également vu à Dedo, vers la chefferie, c'est-à-dire Dedo, quand on dit Dedo, c'est le quartier d'Edo. Ils ont également arrêté des jeunes manifestants là-bas et ils ont traduit. D'autres ont été molestés et d'autres ont été traduits vers les forces de l'ordre. Donc, c'est pour dire qu'il y a une instrumentalisation, le système est en train d'instrumentaliser les communautés pour dire que ce sont les autres. Ce sont les Babana, ce sont les Bamileke, et pour aller plus loin, c'est-à-dire que pour ajouter, pour clore, et mon frère, un communiqué de commandement qui disait que au niveau du camp Yabassi à Douala, qui est un quartier de nos frères du Nigeria qui font les ventes des pièces détachées, ils ont dit qu'il y avait un groupe de Amba Boy qui sont quittés de Bonaberi. C'est-à-dire que Bonaberi, parce que Bonaberi, Grand Hangar, on sait que c'est un quartier où il y a beaucoup de réfugiés. Tous nos frères qui sont sortis du nord-ouest, sud-ouest, beaucoup ont été accueillis là-bas dans des foyers et tout. Ils disaient que ces Amba Boy là ont un agenda. Ils sont quittés des foyers qu'ils avaient déjà infestés au niveau de Bonaberi pour se rendre au niveau de Kayabassi et que c'est même la raison pour laquelle on a vu des militaires demander aux commerçants de Kayabassi qui parlent anglais, curieusement parce qu'eux aussi parlent anglais. Donc, il devait y avoir une confusion totale. Et nous pensons que cette cacophonie-là était de nature à créer un trouble. Parce qu'il suffisait que vous parlez anglais, un genre, quelqu'un vient et dit que en bas, on vous arrête, on peut vous tuer. Donc, ils ont créé toute cette psychose-là. Ça fait que non seulement nos frères nigériens qui vendent là-bas étaient obligés de fermer parce que les militaires les ont menacés de fermer les boutiques, alors que ce n'était même pas encore le gros
to support them. The only reason why those children are in detention now is because we had an election that was stolen.
And Ari, it's adding up.
Every day.
Adding up. Yep.
It's adding up every day. And for us not to do anything, for us not to be able to make the sacrifice, I don't know. I don't know how we found ourselves here. But this is where we are at this point. And we need there's certain times when we must rise up to the occasion. And again,
I'm not going to interrupt you. I just want to add, because it just reminds me, last week, I think Jean-Marie Roger, she made a statement about, she was talking about another reporter who said, when Cameroonians become politically mature enough, then we will take our independence. And I think that time has come. That time has come where we have to do that. It's a sacrifice across board. Everybody on this phone, if you leave here, we can do something. Like I said, conversations, money you give, who you talk to in Cameroon. This is it for us, And I know many of us have, similar situations. I have 2 boys. I want my boys. If it was all perfect, I would be in Cameroon. And I'm sure it will be for many people here. And even if it's not, and you're doing good here, I went to boarding school in Cameroon. Many of us did. I went to school in Manfé. I was very familiar. I was very adventurous. I knew the people in the village, and those people have been displaced for centuries. Well, not centuries, but over 10 years now, and nobody is talking. It's almost like we've forgotten who they are. I mean, the money is being donated and all. There's so much more happening. So we can no longer just be satisfied with our lives saying, I'm not involved. We're involved because those children there are not different from my sons. Like I tell you, they're the same. It's just where they were born. It's a burden we all have when we must carry it. It's what we're doing in Project C.
Thank you, Eddie. I don't know, we were wrapping up here. I see it's been 3 hours, and I know we have 2 hands up. And I'm going to really ask for the 2 incoming speakers, because I want to give them a chance. What do you think? So that they just even if it's taking a minute or 2 to just talk, so that we can wrap up. It's Saturday. We're grateful that people have given us 3 hours, but we want to be mindful that people have things to do. So,
we only have 1 now.
Okay, for in chance. Okay, so we have 1 out. No,
go back. Okay.
No, please.
Let's just go with Vivian.
No, Fuentes has had him or her hand up for a while, and I thought it was.
Maybe they're trying to connect. Frances, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Good evening, everybody.
Yes, please.
Do
you have video?
I'll try to be mindful.
You don't have a video?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you turn on your video, please, if you can?
It's true, it's a little bit dark here. I hope they'll be able to see me through properly.
We went off again, but that's okay.
No, I'm trying to get a clear image as good as I can.
Okay.
Okay. I just had to park somewhere so I can share my view, as I've been following through since the episode started, since the talk started. And if I have 2 things to say, is I think the things I have to say are going to speak to the solidarity you were talking about a moment ago, and how do we get everybody to believe that he has a stake into this. And I think one of the reasons why this has not really worked, this has not really been the case this far, is because the points which are being shared are always coming from a community, a political agenda, a targeted situation point of view. You understand? So generally, when you get opinion leaders who talk, they talk to a specific incident and not the general incident. So So when somebody comes and our fellow ex-prisoner brother who thinks now that he's the right hand of the king comes and utters out threats with Molenex and all whatnot, you know, people focus on that, and then they bring the conversation to the political party, in this case DPC, and it becomes a political conversation, and people become divided. When you speak to this from the point of view of FSNC, yeah, the guy from PCN doesn't feel connected to what you are saying, whereas that's why I think it's my opinion. I think the political leadership has completely failed, and I'm speaking particularly to the opposition, and I'm not even talking about the one in power, because what is become utmostly clear is that the agenda has never been the population's welfare. It is, as someone said, it's a race for power, and it is a personal career plan for each and every one of the individuals. It is never the welfare of the population, which is the agenda of any of these, excuse my point of view, but it's really any of these political parties. Because I have had the pleasure to have conversations with some of these political leaders, and I have sometimes told them that, can you name me 2 political parties in this country that have had internal elections and their head of party changed? We had, I don't know exactly what happened in MLC. Something happened there and people got fired during an election. John, John, who was sometime the hope of this whole thing, died in power in his party. You can name all of them like that. It's the same story. So what is going to convince a local man that you're going to get up there? Why would you want to call out the current president that he doesn't want to change? He is sticking there. Why you cannot even change at your local Njangi house?
Yeah.
So I think this conversation needs to move out from that space and come to the social, from a civil society point of view. And I think that this is where there is a chance. If it's a civil, that's why I'm in no political party. I ended up joining Stand Up for Cameroon because it's more of a civil society movement. Right now, you are calling out the need to support those who have been held up, because some people took their courage to lock their stores and now they came and were sealed. What do we do about them? Some people were locked up because they were out on those days where there was ghost town or something. Some of them were not even involved in the manifestation. Some of them is even by anticipation for the municipal or the legislative election that is coming, where they are picking up heads of small units that could be a threat to the the legislative elections coming up, to try and also anticipate on that election and destabilize the opposition. And they are picking them up. So there are a whole lot of people that are in there. And this movement had already started contributing with the lawyers who are already working on liberating most of the people who are being liberated. I think you must have heard about that as well. Contributions have been going there. I have been participating there. That is the kind of movement I want to be in now, which is one that comes from a position of civil society, because political agendas. I am still challenging anybody in this landscape to show me one political party that has had its primary objective has been the welfare of the population. Because as I spoke to one of the leaders, if my agenda is the welfare of the population, I can assure you, if achieving that objective means that I need to step down, or I need to even vote Paul Biya, let me even say it like that, it is going to permit me to obtain the welfare of the population, I'll do that. Every action is supposed to be governed by that, but we notice that that's not the case. So I think we really need to. That's why I'm joining this talk, because I am seeing this project coming from a civil society point of view, and I think that this movement needs to steer away from all those other type of agendas like governmental agenda or political or anything like that, so that everybody can really feel involved in the movement, and then get in touch with other such movements so that they can consolidate the communication and speak in the same direction, because every civil society movement
is definitely having the civil society as its primary goal, the welfare of the civil society. So that's my contribution for today.
Thank you so much for making that diagnosis and giving a treatment to it, which is that it really has to be the coordination of the work in the civil society. And here at Project C, you all know, we take a non-partisan stand, but we stand for the truth, right? That's what we would follow the truth to where it leads us. And that's why we're on this journey, following that truth that we know, and it's leading us to where we're going. And I hope that we're doing the best that we can, even with the challenges, failures, and weaknesses that we have. We keep marching out because we are driven by the truth that we all know. I will go on to Vivian. Vivian, please, if you
Thank you
can.
so much. I'm here. Thank you.
Vivian, do you want to start your video?
I'm so sorry.
Okay,
For today, I won't be able
that's
to.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for understanding.
Please go ahead. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. May I go ahead?
Yes, please.
All right. So thank you so much. And again, thanks for all the movement. Thanks for everyone's contribution. I definitely add my voice to my brother who just spoke, because going back to SDF, we witnessed Ni John-Frundi stay in power until he passed away as chairperson. So I began to question, like, if you started this movement as a democratic movement and you decided to stay in power until you passed away, would you have been different if you were elected president of Cameroon? These are some of the things we need to question ourselves. It's a good example, and thank God he mentioned it. Now going to what I really wanted to say, which some of the points were highlighted. I can really sit here and sometimes feel humbled. I would say humbled, not proud, that I joined the voices that stood up back in 2016 to say no to this regime and stood up against it. I have fought it on Twitter and every single platform. They blocked me several times, right? And I say this because adding my voice to what has happened to our Francophone brothers, there's a video that has always circulated that when these things are happening to your brothers and sisters and you sit there watching, thinking that you're so special, it's not going to touch you. It will come to you. How would you expect them to behave? How would you expect them to come to your rescue? Because they might not even be there to come to your rescue. I go back again to 2016. What got me so pissed off and so angry was when I woke up and saw our brothers and sisters wrapped in mud. These were university students, okay? I still have that picture in my mind of a young lady who was rolled in mud and a young guy who was laying right next to her. Until today, I don't know if that young lady, if that young man was alive or dead. The world stayed silent. Our Francophone brothers and sisters stayed silent. And today, English-speaking Cameroonians, Anglophone Cameroonians, I would say, are extremely angry because when the dictator launched offensive on your brothers and sisters, you stayed quiet. Even as angry as I am still involved in this fight. I still get involved because two wrongs don't make a right. I expect our Francophone brothers and sisters to wake up, to stand up and join us. Now, before it gets late, I really want to reiterate on this. I want to say this in the strongest possible voice, because together, it is only together that we can stand. It is only together that Cameroon can change. Please don't expect Anglophones or English-speaking citizens to die for your cause, to continuously take the cross and carry the cross for Cameroonians. It is not going to happen. Thank you. I yield. Thank you so much, Brother Ray, and everyone else.
Very much, Vivian, for that passionate expression of what you feel deep inside, and I deeply appreciate it. I really want to highlight for every one of us, we have been, and this goes the same with Fuencha's comments as well. We've been on this journey. It's been 16, 17 weeks. I have never seen solidarity like I have seen at this moment. I mean, we have embraced every opportunity, not looking at what name comes before the great idea that emerges. We have not looked at this from the perspective of it has been with one common purpose, which we all share, and that thing we've not allowed any daylight come between us as we have embarked on this process. It's incredibly important that we do not allow that daylight come between us as we embark, as we keep moving forward. The point I was just trying to make is that it would take enormous solidarity. Will it be easy? No, it would not be easy. But we all have a common destiny. History has brought us together, and we must define how we move on together so that we can address the common issues that we have. And then obviously the specific issues that we must not ignore as we go forward. So let's capitalize on this moment. I also want to say something, that even in the last 5 years, the Cameroon that we knew is no longer the Cameroon that we have today. That the population that we're talking to, that we're interacting, that most of us are assuming the assumptions that we make, our own assumptions. The reality of the country out there that has changed so much, even because of the recent historical incidents that have happened in the country, is very different from the reality that we all know. That's why these elections turned out the way that it turned out, because the techniques of communications and the way that people were mobilized was very different than we have ever done before. And I can guarantee you that next year and the year after and the year after, it's even going to become more sophisticated and more different. And for us that grew up in a generation where our parents defined who we interacted and gave names to those, this next generation that is coming is going to be a lot more algorithmic. And the people that they interact and congregate with is going to be much more than how we are defining ourselves. And so we must hearken to that call and be conscious of what is out there. How people across the country were able to associate themselves with one candidate, despite the fact that at the top people were commenting about a coalition, and yet the people were building their own coalition. And even as we struggle here with communications on this Zoom, the people out there know exactly what they want, and they will go for it, whether we like it or not. The train has left the station. So let's be mindful of that. Let's think, let's look forward, not backwards. Let's aspire for what we know is to come and will come. Just working together, even as we know that these deep feelings do exist in each one of us. Let's keep going. Let's keep working together. Thank you.
Eric.
I think we should go to Eric now so that we can close this almost 3.5 hours. It's been incredibly engaging that we still have over 90 people on Zoom and over 1,000 across the country and the diaspora watching. So
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ray. And I'll just take a minute to say a couple of things. One is that's thanking everybody for being part of this and for continuing to help us build on it. There are two things I want to say. One is that we're in a very, very dynamic phase of things, and a lot is happening and things will be changing quickly. One example, we may know even as early as tonight that the security conditions have been found and established for the president. For example, where he can actually, the president-elect is what I'm talking about, Mr. Chiroma, where he can actually address the nation. That's one possibility. It could happen anytime. It could take maybe another week, but it can take a few hours. A lot is going on in that regard. So let's stay informed. Let's stay together. We'll be putting up any information we think it's important on the website and on the various Project C platforms. So let's keep an eye out for any of that. The second thing I wanted to say is that it's a thought I want to leave you with. If we don't succeed in doing what we have to do, think about this. If this team in Yaoundé now is successful in overcoming all the impediments to survival, if they somehow figure out how to stay in power and keep the status quo, think about that. They would have perfected their hold on power by the time 7 years are over. They would have perfected it. And there's nothing we can do to disrupt the status quo. So I want us to be conscious of what lies ahead and just to be sure that everything we do going forward is leading to the demise of the current leadership in Yaoundé. It is not because we hate anybody. It's not because we want to stop anybody from having access to the wealth of the country, which many people obviously, want. It's not that. It is simply that we want a better Cameroon. And we have everything it takes to have a better Cameroon. And please, let us work together to make that difference. And if anybody amongst us is happy with Cameroon as it is today, then you don't need to be fighting with us. But if you're not, please join the fight. Join the fight. And let's make sure that the days of the regime in Yaoundé are numbered. That's it. We will accept nothing less. Thank you so much. And Ray, Elizabeth, thank you all. And we'll be talking soon, I hope.
Thank you.
thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Okay, I didn't know those were the last words. Bye.
Yeah, the last one.
Okay.
Merci.
Thank you. Thanks,
Happy
everyone.
birthday, Elizabeth.
Gosh.
Oh my God. Was I the last one to know? I should have known.
Get off this
Oh
platform.
my God.
Thank you.
We'll take it in private.
Wow.
Thank you.
I feel awful.
No, don't.
Okay.
Can't do that here. Thank you.
Merci à tous. Bonne fin de semaine.
Yes.
Merci à tous.
Yes.